You should start seeing the vehicles coming up.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I see the window.
That is definitely a truck.
We're looking for one.
So I found, searching on the inside of the vehicle, I found a shoe. Lindsay's checking to see if there's any human remains. So now we're at Lake Houston in Texas. We're going to be searching some areas out in this lake. The visibility is going to be basically zero. This is going to be brown, chocolate brown water. And so anything that we find, we're going to mark it with a magnet and go down on it and see if we can identify what kind of vehicle it is and get a registration off of it and check the inside for any possible occupants. In this video, while working with Chaos Divers, Jacob and Lindsay, I'm going to cover the 3 days of work that we spent out here on Lake Houston. All of the missing persons that we are searching for are from the Houston, Texas area. The first person on our list that we are searching for is Maya Maddie, 18 years old, from the Bel Air, Texas, Houston area. She was last seen on Friday, February 5th, 2010. She was last seen in a 1999 Chevy Cavalier with Texas license plate 839 Sam David Lincoln. The next is Abel Garcia. Abel Garcia was last seen July 8th, 2009. He was driving a 1993 white Mazda MX-6. The vehicle registration on his Texas plates would have been 188 Robert Sam Victor. The next person missing would have been Scott Allen Brown, who would have been 25 years old the day he went missing. Has been missing since June of 1996. He was last seen driving a red 1986 Mazda RX-7 with Texas license plates Mary Sam John Ocean 5 X-Ray. The next person is U.S. Marine Roderick Darnell Castle. Roderick was driving a black 2007 Toyota Camry LE 4-door with Texas license plates Charles Tom Sam 3800. The next person is Alejandro Sanchez, 20-year-old male, went missing on May 15, 2008. He was never seen after he left work, driving a 2001 silver Ford F-150, unknown vehicle license plate. And finally, we have 53-year-old Christopher Flores, last seen in the Houston area on August 23rd, 2021. He was driving a green 1995 Chevy C15 pickup truck with Texas license plates Mary Victor 2083. All of the links for everyone who is missing that we are searching for in this video will be linked in the description below. If you have any information regarding any of these persons and their disappearance, you can contact the Houston Police Department, and that link will also be in the description below. So we've been doing some scanning for most of the day on Lake Houston. Now we just found 2 more cars. We're at 4 cars so far.
This is almost like an ultrasound. You can see fish, you can see all kinds of stuff. We're going to be coming up on the vehicles here in about, you should start seeing the vehicles coming up. Okay, there's one of them.
Yep, I just saw the window. There's the windshield.
Here's your second one.
Next one's right next to it.
like an SUV or a minivan.
So it looks more like a SUV to me. Looks to me more like a truck. See how the back end? Yeah, that's a truck on its
Wheels.
On its wheels, but its front end is kind of buried.
It's sitting at about 20-ish feet.
Well, it's either that or it's the back tail. It's the back hatch open. You see that now? That may be an SUV with a back. We're getting a side angle on it now.
We were doing some side scanning, and we did find about 5 to 6 vehicles, and we're gonna go dive on the first pair of vehicles that we have here.
Right over there in the corner.
Let's go get wet. So just to our starboard side of the boat, the right side, this is the car. I think this might be the one with the hatch open. We're gonna dive down on this one first. The car is kind of in this kind of angle right here. So this is the front of the car right here, and this is gonna be the back of the car. In the back, where working with Jacob and Lindsay was amazing. They were great shore support. They taught me so much. This is an extra tool I can put in my toolbox. This experience was very valuable. Everything that I've learned with them, working with them, I take home back to my search and recovery team here in Washington State. Visibility was 0. It was like diving in mud. The surface of the water was so warm, it was like bath water. I think we were reading it at 89 degrees on the surface, just another 15 feet below, and you may get about 15 degrees cooler. This water was very filthy with trash and everything. I can literally just imagine the bacteria swimming around in this water. And keep in mind, I'm not in a dry suit. I'm in shorts and a t-shirt because it's like 95 to 105 degrees down here in Texas. This water was so thick with particulate. I tried to hold the flashlight to my gauge and hold it up to my mask, and I couldn't even read it or make out anything on there. Having a flashlight was pretty much pointless. If anything, peace of mind. The first dive, I didn't dive on a car. It was a pile of pipes and bricks with metal pipes that the magnet had caught onto. I found a working coal miner's headlamp on that dive. It was fitting to give it to Jacob since he is the old coal miner. On the second dive, I did dive on a vehicle, and you can't see the vehicle, but if you can reach down into the windows and search for occupants, meaning human remains like a bone or clothing, or to see if the seat have an idea where you're at on the vehicle, and then you can work your way to the front bumper and the rear bumper to see if there's a plate, or see if there's anything else you can reach into to see if there is anything that can help you figure out if anybody was in this vehicle or any clues about this vehicle. So typically I was grabbing car parts like mirrors, signals, headlights, taillights, anything that we could bring to the surface and identify what kind of car this was, to see if it belonged to one of our missing, or if one of our missing had that particular style car. So we're done diving the first 2 vehicles. We scanned them, marked them with the magnets, dove down on them. No license plates on the front or back. The first vehicle came back to a Mercedes S-Series. So I was grabbing some items to help identify this vehicle. This is a Mercedes symbol right here. This was on the steering wheel. And this, they have part numbers in the back of these also. Here is a side mirror. So what you do is there's a part number on there, and you can help look up to see what kind of vehicle that is, because you're going to be zero viz. I don't even know why I took flashlights, because you can't see anything. So I'm going to turn this way so you can see the lightning storm behind me. So now we're just kind of looking up the second car from the parts that I grabbed, the headlights, the taillights, to see what kind of car comes back to. Yeah, there's the thunderstorm behind me. We might take a break. The thunderstorm is kind of moving in our direction. The tail light off of that Mercedes. The other vehicle we dove on is probably an Oldsmobile Cutlass, late 70s or 80s, and that is based off of. So this is This looks like this could be a signal. This is obviously a brake light. And this is, looks like it could be a front signal. And like I said, there's part numbers on these. You can help look it up to figure out what vehicle it goes to, because you will not see anything down there. So this is day 3 out here in the Lake Houston area. We spent our first day doing a majority of scanning. Spent our second day diving on 2 cars and then scanning some other areas on the lake. Now we have 3 more cars we're going to be diving on. There's 1 car behind me. Jacob says it looks like it's a newer car. And so I'm going to go down, dive in this car, and then we're going to try to identify it, then go up to the next 2 cars and dive on those, try to identify those as well. And with me, Gopro sent me a dive light for this trip to test out. This is going to be the Gopro WD-12, and this is just basically my backup light. So what works for me when I'm diving on these vehicles is I start my descent going feet first. I got my fake leg and I got my real leg with my scuba fin on. That way if I come down on any jagged rusty metal, that's what's going to come in contact with it first. Not parts of my body that can get cut where I can get a serious injury from it. I also will take the magnet and I'll put it on the highest point of the vehicle. That way I'm not going to get entangled in the rope while I'm doing my search. You know, I orientate myself with the vehicle, whether I find myself on a tire or on the steering wheel or on the window, and try to figure out way the vehicle's positioned and work my way around the vehicle, searching the inside if I can, and for identifiers like the license plates or decals or parts that I can bring up so we can help identify this vehicle. It's just because it is zero visibility, blacked out visibility. It would be different if there was visibility where you can actually see what you're looking at. I mean, there's also an alligator warning not to feed or approach these alligators, and it's posted online that if you come in contact with an alligator while on one of these lakes, fight like your life depends on it, because it probably does. Sadly, I did not come in any contact with an alligator to where I could get some awesome footage of it on the surface, but gladly I did not come in contact with an alligator below the surface as well. There was no snapping turtles that we saw. We saw other kinds of turtles. I did, however, come in contact. I assumed it was a big catfish because I felt something big and slimy. I bumped into it underwater with my leg. Freaked me out for a little bit. I felt it swim off. Other than that, that's all I was coming in contact with while searching these vehicles in this lake. So we just got done diving the 1 car down here. No plates on the back. The driver and passenger side windows are down. The rear and the hatch window is still intact. The windshield is still intact. The back of the car, no plate. Grabbed a signal. The front of the car is completely nosedived into the mud. It would take me a while to dig it out. I'm not going to be able to get it. So there's no bones in the front or passenger seat, and so I have a tail light, and this is a pretty big tail light. First, these pieces broke off, and here we go. part number right here. So we can try to get that looked up. And this is the inside part. I had to really rip several times to get all those wires out. Didn't want to lose my dive knife, but there's probably a part number inside here. Add that to the mix. This corner piece came off, so this is the color of it. It's kind of a light teal silverish kind of color, so maybe that might help us figure out what kind of car is down there.
Called the pewter color.
Pewter color. So the taillights on the third vehicle bring us to a Pontiac Sunbird, late 70s, late 80s model, around that time period. So here's the two, because I remember there was a hatch on there for a hatchback, but here's the taillights on the other one that are basically a match. So now we're gonna head over to the one spot with two more cars. These are gonna be the last two cars we're gonna dive on in this area, and then we'll continue on scanning some other areas. So these next two cars that I dove on, heavily damaged, heavily decaying away. One was definitely a truck. The other one felt like it was a bigger truck, no identifiers, no taillights, no headlights. Like you found one of the wheels torn off and away from the vehicle a little bit. Like it succumbed to some heavy damage before entering that water. So we couldn't identify one of those vehicles, but we do have identification on one of the vehicles. Let's check out our findings. These two are really degraded. You couldn't even pull these if you wanted to. Deteriorated. These, the last one I was on, it felt like it was an old truck of some sort.
This other one's a truck. It was a Datsun.
Come back to us between a 74 and a 78 Datsun.
The first one or the second one?
First one they go.
Okay. Datsun, okay. What about this, never mind. I guess let me focus on getting out, I guess. So I just got done diving the last two vehicles. So through our list of vehicles that we have that we dove on right here, Lindsay, what was the first two?
So yesterday you dove on a older 1980s, 1990s Mercedes S-Class, and then also a late 70s, early 80s Oldsmobile Cutlass yesterday. Today, earlier you dove on a 1980s J2000 Sunbird. And this first truck here came back to a 1974-78 Datsun pickup truck, and then we will be identifying that third one that you dove on today. I'll get that wiper tank out and see if I can get any numbers off of it.
Yeah, this last vehicle was really deteriorated, really deteriorated.
They were clearly musicians, though.
What's that?
I said they were clearly musicians.
Yeah. I pulled out a couple bongo drums that were in the engine compartment, but I also grabbed... Hey Lindsay, will you see if there's a boot in here? A foot?
What?
Will you see if there's a bone in here? I found a shoe inside.
Oh, that's a really old shoe.
Will you see if there's a bone in here?
Yeah.
And then maybe we'll find a part number off this so you can figure out what kind of old truck that was or whatever. So I found, searching on the inside of the vehicle, I found a shoe. Lindsay's checking to see if there's any human remains, like a little toe bone.
No,
Toe ring.
just clay, just mud.
Okay. So the last two vehicles we dove on, the first one was an old Datsun pickup truck and very rusted away. The second one was a very old style farm truck, pieces of it scattered. It must have sustained quite a bit of damage prior to going into the water. And lastly, the sixth vehicle, upside down, rusted away. As we dropped a magnet on it, we pulled up a random rusted bit of metal, decided it was unsafe to dive on, so we ended up skipping that one for safety. That was the last two vehicles that we dove on right out here. And I still have my other leg. I did not get it eaten off by a gator. I think the only thing that I came in contact with was a catfish yesterday on one of my dives. So that was kind of creepy. So that's going to conclude our 3 days searching in the Lake Houston area down by Houston, Texas. I'd like to thank everybody for making this possible. With your donations, you were able to help support Chaos Divers to go out and search for missing persons. That also gave me an opportunity to go and learn from them so I can take that experience and knowledge back home to my SAR dive team in Washington State. Would also like to thank everybody who is just supported the channel. You can also find all of the links in the description below. Anybody that has any information on any of these missing persons that has not yet been talked about with investigators and detectives, please look at the links below. Find the law enforcement links where you could go and contact them, and maybe this video has struck some sort of memory where you can share that memory with investigators that might help lead to the discovery of one of these people who have been missing. And with that being said, thank you everybody for your support. Thank you everybody for watching. Please hit subscribe. We will see you in the next episode. Take care. Be safe.